Hey friends! Today's video I am filming with a brand new lens, so if things look a little bit different, it's because everything else behind me is a lot blurrier than usual. It's kind of hard to tell because it's dark, but I bought myself a new lens because my trusty 24-70 has been malfunctioning for the last several months, and I figured it's now a good time to send this off while I don't have gigs to do. So this will be going to Canon to get repaired because the focus ring has been a pain in my ass for months.
Yeah.
Now I can actually focus myself a little bit easier and it'll just be really, really nice and crispy and clear and like pretty. Enough rambling about my new lens. Today's video is going to be a start of a brand new series that I have no name for yet. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about nostalgic movies. And this video series was definitely inspired by Kenny JD and her Bad Movies in a Beat series. You guys should definitely check out her channel. I didn't want to make this like a direct ripoff and just talk about specifically bad movies, but like movies that I wouldn't even consider bad, but movies that are like cringy watching as an adult, but yeah. So it's all going to be just like nostalgic things from the late 90s, early 2000s, back from when I was a kid. I was born in '89, by the way. 6 months of an 80s baby. I did a poll on Twitter and on YouTube, and I asked y'all what we wanted to talk about first, and honestly I was kind of surprised by how few people actually voted for Billboard Dad, because I was like, wait a second, do you guys not know what Billboard, like, have you not seen Billboard Dad? It's iconic. But we will start with talking about Passport to Paris. Passport to Paris, the 1999 Dual Star Entertainment Tapestry Films straight-to-video movie starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen themselves. Now, while I do my foundation, I'm going to give a quick preface to why. When I was a kiddo, when I was a child, both my sister and I were part of the Mary-Kate and Ashley's Fun Club.
If you want to know more about Mary-Kate and Ashley, be sure to join the twins' very own fan club.
My aunt, or my godmother, she had a large collection of movies, VHS tapes, and when we would go over to her house, we would always watch movies. A lot of times it would be a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie. And because we grew so attached to those films and so attached to the books too, I read the little books, like the Mary-Kate and Ashley, like Christmas Caper books. There was an entire fucking, like, empire with the Olsen twins before they were the age of like 12. Like, it's insane. Drew Gooden made a fantastic video about the Olsen twins, which was another reason why I got inspired to do this, because I was in that club. Like, I was a part of the Fun Club. I really only got like little like monthly things maybe a few times. I don't remember more than a couple of times or 3 times getting a package full of memorabilia, but the memorabilia was never that exciting. It was just a thing that I got to say that I was part of the Mary-Kate and Ashley's Fun Club. And we owned, I shit you not, all of the movies. All of them. All of them. When we were cleaning out my parents' house, when they sold it like 5 years ago, we had an entire tote in our basement full of VHS tapes, so many of them being Mary-Kate and Ashley movies. We had a whole separate one for like Disney and Disney adjacent movies from when we were kids, but the Mary-Kate and Ashley ones, because they had all these like half-hour ones. They had like My First Video, they had Mary-Kate and Ashley's Sleepover Party, Christmas Party, Birthday Party, all these different like party movies that were just straight to VHS, straight to tape. And it's kind of weird and mind-boggling thinking about how much these girls actually worked when they were kids. It was definitely probably illegal. There's no way that they were actually getting fair labor. I don't know. It's weird to think about now as adult, but honestly, I'm glad that they were able to just like decide to live normal lives as grown-ass women. And then I'm super stoked that their little sister Elizabeth is making movies and in stuff like the Avengers. Fun fact, Elizabeth Olsen from as in Scarlet Witch, that is Mary-Kate and Ashley's little sister. That's where the name Elizabeth and James came from, because James is their older brother and Elizabeth is their little sister, and that is their perfume line. That is how much I know about Mary-Kate and Ashley. Like, they also had very distinct personalities as kids. In all of the films, Mary-Kate was always like the more like outspoken and like tomboyish one usually, and then Ashley was like the more soft-spoken girly one because stereotypes. And Passport to Paris was on a little bit different because they were so very similar in that film. Like, they didn't do a whole lot to change, like, differentiate them. But let's jump into it. I've got my Hulu app literally on my phone because I was like, I can't miss any of this. Because I just watched it earlier, so to refresh my memory, but Libby and I watched it a few weeks ago, and oh, the memories came rolling back. The memories came just zooming back into my brain. Ironically, I didn't really watch Full House much as a kid, but we were a Nickelodeon family. I was raised on John Hughes, Mary-Kate and Ashley, and Nickelodeon. So, something about all the Mary-Kate and Ashley movies, and specifically this one, they all started with this, like, very dorky late 90s voiceover where, like, the fourth wall never existed. Like, the fourth wall just didn't exist in Mary-Kate and Ashley films, like, ever. And this one was no different. Like, it starts with, like,
I'm Melanie, and this is my sister Allie. We're in middle school, and we like boys.
Like, these are the most important classes in school, where it's, like, science, math, and then social studies. And social studies is just code for, like, scoping on boys and going to the mall. Simpler times, am I right? When, like, going to the mall was, like, the height of activity. Nobody goes to the mall anymore. Oh, to be 12 years old. The one thing I did really, really love about this film in particular, I mean, there's so many things I loved about this movie, but the music, because it was late 90s, like 1999, peak, like early pop punk, but it was a less angry version of the music from, like, 10 Things I Hate About You. And I'm not joking, because there was, like, a lot of music where I was like, yeah, I vibed to the music. And then the opening credits, also watching movies from that day and age and seeing everything in 4:3, I'm like, Mary-Kate and Ashley movies always had fantastic opening credits with the worst font choices. Oh, the globe, the animation in this movie as well. Ugh. So we open, they zoom in onto their high school, Northwood Junior High in Comic Sans. And they're supposed to be like 7th grade. I think one of the things about this movie that really, about all of these movies when I was a kid, really kind of gave me a false sense of what middle school was gonna be like. And I'm like, wait, I'm not gonna meet all the cutest boys? Like, I'm not gonna, like, have my first kiss by the age of 13? What? Like, it gave me a false sense of what middle school was, and I 100% blame Mary-Kate and Ashley movies on me just, like, daydreaming about, like, every dude I went to middle school with, because I didn't have my first kiss until I was, like, 19. I was old. Oh, and passing notes back before cell phones were a thing. Ugh. Passing notes, man. I miss it. Kyle and Shane, the most 1999 cute boy names. Oh my god. Can you imagine being a Kyle or a Shane with frosted tips in 1999? You had it made. I almost said you were slamming puss, but they're supposed to be 13 in this movie, so, like, no. And so the kind of crux of this film, I never really gave, like, a full synopsis of what it is, if you've never seen it before. The kind of plot of this movie, the synopsis, is these two girls who live a very, like, kind of narrow vision of the world life because they're 13. That was always something that baffled me, where it's like, you're 13, you're not gonna have a worldly view of things in 1999. You don't know anything about the world. So, like, why were their parents, like, mad about it? But anyway, so they're, like, getting ready for spring break, and they want to be asked to this spring fling dance by these two cute boys, right? And so they're, like, trying everything to get these cute boys to ask them to the dance by, like, sabotaging the other girls in school that, like, they might ask. There's this scene where it's like,
Helene and Darlene, cheerleaders.
it's just, like, the most cliche 1999 things, like, cheerleaders are all airheads.
Enter Helene and Darlene, cheerleaders. Enough said.
And they're like, did you hear 5 kids had to go home after eating the meatloaf today? And so they're, like, planting this idea in their head that, oh my god, because these girls are eating the meatloaf. And so they said it got it so bad it had E. coli and F. coli. which isn't a thing. And then like, did it have all those worms in it? Like the white worms? And she's like, no, brown squishy ones like this. And like grabs like a weird gummy worm and like does a sleight of hand in front of this girl's meatloaf. And then these girls scream and go home. And then they get to be asked to the dance by Kyle and Shane. So, they're super stoked about it. They go home and they're talking on the phone all night because that's when people talked on the phone. And they're like, well, we're going to plan out our whole spring break. We're going to be able to hang out with these girls, go to the beach, mall troll, and just enough time for shopping. Like, literally the mall and shopping and talking on the phone was the height of middle school life. So they're at dinner and they're like, well, we did all of our homework and now we're going to go talk on the phone. And their parents are like, their world is the size of a pinhead. It's like, yeah, they're 13. Of course they are. Mind you, this is supposed to be spring break. The mom and dad of this film propose a plan, a scheme, if you will. They were like, well, we're gonna teach them a lesson, teach these girls a lesson by buying them a trip to Paris, France to stay with their grandfather, who is the US ambassador to France. And that's made out to be like a punishment of some sort, where it's like, you need to learn about the world, so we're gonna send you on a vacation to Paris.
Camera? Passport? Where are we going? Paris? We're going to Paris?
You're going to Paris?
We're going to Paris! When are we going to Paris?
Next week over spring break.
No!
I would love that. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. So then they're really sad because they're like, we don't get to go to the spring fling with these cute boys that have no personality. I mean, the parents had to have gotten like a really screaming deal on tickets because their family was the US ambassador to France. But imagining buying tickets to Paris like 2 days before spring break, for spring break, that must have cost them so much money. So yeah, these girls get sent to Paris and they arrive in their matching outfits. Mary-Kate and Ashley fashion, I wanted all of it. I wanted all of it, especially in this movie because they matched, but like just close enough. And it was like Melanie had all the like blue stuff and Allie had all the pink stuff. And they just, their hair was perfect, coiffed with little braids and stuff. It's great. And because their grandfather is so busy all the time, because he's the ambassador to France, they have to be hauled around by his assistant, Jeremy. And he's supposed to be this like very nerdy, stick in the mud, like uptight guy who never really gets the recognition from his boss that he wants. So they're checking in, and the scene that comes after that, before dinner, is one of the weirdest things I remember. Like when I saw this, when Libby and I watched this a few weeks ago and I saw this for the first time in literal years, I was like,
what is happening?
And they're like putting up posters for some reason, even though they're going to be there for like 5 days. And I'm like, that seems like a little bit unnecessary, but okay. So they're putting up posters, and they put up a poster of Wyclef Jean because it was 1999. They start dancing to, I believe it was Wyclef Jean, jumping on the bed. They jump off the bed and they just start dancing with each other in a way that's just so not really a thing that you would do with your own sister at the age of 13. It's not inappropriate or anything, but it was just so awkward to watch. I can just imagine what the direction was, where it's like, okay, girls, jump off the bed and then just start dancing. And it's like, they have no rhythm. It's so awkward. They get told to turn the music down because it's too loud and because the music isn't loud in France. So they need to be more quiet and more respectful. They have to go to dinner. And the chef, what is his name? His name is Henri, which it was like they came up with, how do we make somebody sound so damn French? Let's do it. So he's feeding them snails, and the girls are like, ooh, what is this? This is kind of weird. He's like, snails. And they're like, bleh. And so they go through this entire sequence of them just like disrespecting the food, of them being like, this is gross. I don't want this. Quail eggs, disgusting. And so they're just like, check, please. And there's this running thing throughout the film where they order McDonald's and the chef is like so uptight about his cuisine, and he's like, I would never order the fast food. And so they get him to try fast food later. So honestly, all the Mary-Kate and Ashley movies make them out to be like the heroes in the movie. But when they start out, they're always kind of little bitches. Like they're always kind of like rude at the beginning. But so they order the McDonald's and get it late at night because they didn't eat any of the French food that the nice French chef cooked.
because it's gross.
And then this scene, as they're on their way to their sightseeing extravaganza to the Louvre and other museums, they almost get hit by mopeds and motorbikes, ridden by the cute boys, the cute French boys. And they come up and they say some stuff in French. It's like, what did he say? Who cares? And they're just swooning over these French boys. And it's fucking hilarious. Unrealistic expectations of teenagerhood. And then this whole sequence is such a weird montage. It's a montage of them going to the Louvre, and then that's pretty much the only, like, extensive scene we get, and then the rest is just kind of, like, glossed over. It's like they went to a bunch of museums and saw a lot of art, and now they're tired and bored. But the Louvre is so funny, because they go in there, and I'm sure that they didn't get permission to actually film in the Louvre, so they go and do, like, the intro, and it's like, here's all the things that you're gonna see, and then they cut to the most ridiculous green screen sequence that I forgot existed when I watched this recently. I was like, wait, what is happening? It's like they're walking through a sea of like an ocean of flying fucking art pieces. It's like be our guest on crack. Then they go out for food. And Ashley's character, tries her hand at ordering some French food and fails miserably. She tries to order a drink and ends up ordering fish. I don't know if the words that they used to describe those were actually accurate. I'm not sure. But she orders fish when she meant to order like a Coke. And Jeremy is on the phone elsewhere. This nice woman, this nice lady, overhears them trying to figure out what they ordered and why they got it wrong, blah, blah, blah. And she comes in, like, orders for them and corrects them. And she's like, oh, actually, girls, you ordered the fish. That's what this... She says, poisson is fish, boisson is drink. She introduces herself, and Allie goes, she's like, wait, you're Brigitte the supermodel. And then Mel goes, well, no, she's not. Are you? And she's like, you did the Jean-Paul Gaultier spread. It's like, how do 12-year-olds know about Jean-Paul Gaultier? They don't. And so they get to talking, and she's a very nice French woman. And she's like, actually, girls, if you're going to be out at the park this weekend, I'll be there, and you should see me, and blah, blah, blah. And so they end up scheming to try and meet up with these boys. And so they, like, log into the itinerary and change the location. And so he was like, oh, we're going here? Not here? Okay. So because they want to see these boys. They want to see these cute French boys who they have no idea what their name is. So they fuck with the itinerary so that they can go where they want to go rather than going to like a bunch of museums again because they're bored of museums because they're 12. I wouldn't want to go to a bunch of museums when I was 12. But they're getting, the fashion. Oh my God, the fashion, the cowboy hat and the tank tops. Oh, the fashion of 1999. Oh, they did meet the boys. What are their names? Jean and Michel. That's what their names were. And Michel is the one that ends up with Mel, and Jean ends up with Allie. And they're both in a band called Videoheads. The Videoheads, I think. You're like 14. Like, they meet these boys. The boys bring them flowers, and they end up convincing Jeremy to let them like have lunch with these random French boys. Which, like, again, if you're 13, you're not doing that. Taking Wigglies from the Jackie Ina palette from ABH. Oh, such a good palette. Such a good palette. I'm feeling very like late 90s, but also very like Gerard Way. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling today. That's the color scheme, color story I'm feeling. It's just going to be a big red smoky eye. And there's this underlying kind of theme in the film that all the water they get comes from glass bottles. Like, you can't get tap water because apparently the water in Paris at the time was really gross. And so that's one thing that, like, their ambassador grandfather is like meeting with somebody at a banquet to discuss a treaty or something. There's always this like larger story to these movies that like really are not that important to the central theme, because the central theme is always girls get put into hijinks, girls meet cute boys, and then they end up with the cute boys, and then everybody has a happy ending, and it's great. Which, again, was why it gave me such unrealistic view of teenagerhood. One thing I did appreciate is that they actually cast people that were, like, the right age for the parts back when these movies were made, which I'm glad about because they end up like kissing at the end. So I'm glad they didn't like fucking hire like 17-year-old boys to kiss these 13-year-old girls. It probably helped that pretty much all of the Mary-Kate and Ashley films were made by their own production company. Dual Star Entertainment is just the the Olsen Twins LLC company. Like, Dual Star Entertainment doesn't make anything except Mary-Kate and Ashley movies. So fun fact, and I didn't realize that, like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, Dual Star, that sounds like a standard movie production company. No, they called it Dual Star because they're
Twins.
they controlled every part of the production. It was like a very kind of self-sustaining thing where it's like they made these movies for probably very cheap, hence why you get these weird green screen scenes, and then they released them to video, DVD, and sold a bunch of things and made a bunch of money and branded a bunch of Mary-Kate and Ashley stuff. Mary-Kate and Ashley were like the less hype intense version of JoJo Siwa from when I was young because they had so many things merchandised. There were dolls. There were different movie versions of the dolls. I'm pretty sure I had a doll of them, which is such a weird thing to think of, like, to be a real person and to have like a doll version of you that's not like based on a movie character. Like, to have like a Black Widow action figure is one thing, but to have just like a doll that looks like Mary-Kate and Ashley is just weird. But I do very specifically remember having Mary-Kate and Ashley doll. So this like middle part of the movie is just a lot of montage of them like going out on the mopeds with these cute boys all through France. They're just like having a grand old time with these boys, and they just only want to hang out with the boys because their grandpa is boring and a stick in the mud and isn't like normal grandpas. They just want to hang out with boys because they're fucking hormonal pubescent teenage girls.
And they just want to kiss boys.
Because they couldn't go to the dance with Kyle and Shane. Now they have Jean and Michelle. They definitely did not have the cutest boys in this movie. I definitely think 100% the cutest boys in any Mary-Kate and Ashley film, besides New York Minute because it had Jared Padalecki, Winning London, cutest boys by far. I just wanted to be Mary-Kate and Ashley. I wanted to be Mary-Kate and Ashley. Both of them. I wanted to be both of them simultaneously. I wanted just to go kind of like really in on just Mary-Kate and Ashley as like a topic for this video so that I didn't have to in the other ones. I was a stan. I stand the Olsen twins. Shimmer is so good. Ugh. I'm doing a matte blush today because I don't want to do like super glowy skin.
Who am I?
Oh, and then when they go to dinner, they trick their grandpa into thinking that like they actually did what they were supposed to do that day because they covered for Jeremy and he was like, yeah, I'll let you go out. And then they were like, no, yeah, we did all of these things. So they like studied stuff and made it look like that Jeremy actually followed through with what he was supposed to do because they're conniving and brilliant. They were like, we're going to go shopping and hang out with cute boys. And then just lie to our grandfather about it. The fashion model shows that back up again. And then she meets Jeremy, and Jeremy's like, oh, who is this? How do you know this supermodel woman? Like, what? They get to talking, and she gets to talking to Jeremy, and then sparks fly naturally. Because the nerdy guy in the movie has to have a good character arc too, and that includes love. Oh, and here's more McDonald's. Oh, this is a good scene. So Jeremy is now kind of like on their side. So he gets them some McDonald's because they didn't eat anything that Henri made. And so Henri wakes up and he's just like, oh my God, this is blasphemy. Like, you're eating more of this burger. And so then there's like a montage of like a cook-off thing. And then they're like, but how about this?
I will eat your quail eggs if you eat a cheeseburger.
This is why food has such a strong memory for me from this movie. It's so ridiculous. He was like, the fast food will never be good. Like, it will never match up. He's so like uppity about his food that he just like can't fathom fast food being tasty. And then the housekeeping and everybody starts to like the girls more. The butler and the chef starts to adopt the girls' ideas, and so it's just a lot of like everybody is like accepting Mary-Kate and Ashley or Allie and Melanie. Their grandfather is just like, what's happening to my staff? They're all going crazy. And Jeremy is just like, hey, no itinerary for the day. we're just gonna go out and do whatever the hell we want because I'm a rebel now because I learned from you 13-year-old girls. It's gonna be such a long video, oh my god. Jeremy and Brigitte hang out and they go out to dinner, and then the girls go hang out with the boys again, and then they get in trouble. So they're in like at night, they're in this like area that they end up getting arrested because they were trespassing technically. They were supposed to meet Brigitte and Jeremy back at a certain location by a certain time, and then they start freaking out. And then they eventually show up. They get driven home to their grandfather's house by the cops. Did they even kiss in this scene? I don't remember if they kiss. Oh my god. There's a line in this scene thing. She says this in the most earnest way. She was like, when we went to Disneyland, when we were 5, I thought that was the best day of my life.
Well, when we were 9, Allie and I went to Disneyland for the first time. And I thought this was the best day of my life. I didn't think life could get any better.
Basically, their grandfather grounds them, and then Jeremy like stands up for them, and then he's like, well, I quit, because he'd been like trying to give this proposal for the water treaty to grandfather for like a week, and he hadn't looked at it at all, and so he was like, I don't feel very appreciated, and all of my ideas are falling on deaf ears.
So I quit.
And the girls are like, no, J-Man, not because of us. And he's like, no, you taught me to stand up for myself. And the girls end up scheming to try and help their grandfather. Their grandfather is not doing very well at convincing this other guy, this other prime minister from somewhere. I don't remember where he's supposed to be from. He's not doing a very good job at persuading him to like sign the treaty and stuff. And so the girls hatch up a plan where they serve them disgusting looking swamp water. And then the guy is like, this is disgusting. What is the meaning of this? And then the girls are like, it was us. And their grandfather's like, well, you better have a good explanation for this, girls. And so then they go on this like whole thing. They're like,
There's this much pollution in that water, parts per billion, and don't we want clean water? Ah!
and so they end up persuading the prime minister far better than their grandfather by giving him swamp water and then explaining why. It's just so weird. So weird. And it's just like this just inciting climax of conflict that like kind of was satisfying. But after that, Grandpa lightens up a little bit, and the girls get to go to the dance. They get to go hang out with the cute boys who were playing at the dance. Their band, the Video Heads, playing at the dance, and the girls are so excited that they get to see them, and then they dance together. Allie is like, I'll email you every day, and Jean's like, I'll email you twice a day, and then Michelle and Mel is just like, I'll miss you so much, and she's like,
Well, maybe when the Video Heads make it big, you can tour in LA.
you're like a 14-year-old boy band. I don't understand. Oh my god, I love these movies so much. I bought some lipstick from Propa Beauty. Propa. They came back in stock, so I was really interested in trying them. One thing about this lens is that it doesn't zoom at all. It's a prime lens, so if I ever want to like get closer to the camera, I have to physically move myself closer to the camera. So this is the shade Driven. It's a dark brown. And then the dance ends, and Brigitte and Jeremy get together, they kiss, and then the next day they go to leave, and their grandfather's like, I'm gonna drive my granddaughters to the airport, and like everybody's sad to see them go, like Henri and the butler, I don't remember his name, everybody's just sad to see them go, because they're like, you taught us so much about loosening up, because you hated everything that we showed you when you first got here, but okay. And so everybody says goodbye, everybody's sad, and then Grandpa is just like, I'm gonna take a vacation and go hang out with my super cool family in the United States. So he takes a vacation, he flies home, and then the girls get back home, and suddenly they're far more worldly. They're like learning about Rome and about history, but still talking on the phone about boys with their friends, but they ignore Shane and Kyle because they're not Jean and Michel. They're not cultured enough like the French boys are. I kind of had wished that they had done like a sequel to this movie. Not gonna lie. Ooh, this is creamy. Yes, please. God, I love a good brown lip moment. I haven't done it in a long time. What year is it, Abby? I don't know. But yeah, and then the girls are more cultured, and they live happily ever after, being in a long-distance relationship with 2 French boys. You know, every 12-year-old's dream in 1999, when like video chat wasn't really a thing. You had to write emails and write letters and stuff, but yeah. That was Passport to Paris. It was a roller coaster. It was a ride. I will definitely be doing more of these. I do want to do Billboard Dad because that one, I feel like I have like such a, like an even more intense memory of it. And it's such a ridiculous idea for a movie, but so good. Like, highly recommend it. Let me know which ones are your favorite Mary-Kate and Ashley movies, or if there's any like very niche or like nostalgic late 90s, early 2000s movies that maybe you remember, that you really loved. I'm not going to take suggestions about movies that I've not seen, but like if I also share that feeling about that movie with you, I'll be more inclined to want to do a video about it if you guys also like it. Yeah, that was fun. It was a very long video. It's gonna be a very long video for me to edit because I went through the entire movie. I needed to just like start taking notes when I'm watching these rather than like literally pull up Hulu, because that was a little much, but you know. Honestly, what have I been listening to? Seriously. For real though. Yeah, fuck it. Today's song of the day is Nice Guys by We Are Scientists. It is a very old song from like 2010, but Facebook Memories has been reminding me that I went on a very ridiculous road trip with my friends about 10 years ago exactly to see my favorite band, We Are Scientists, and it was just a whirlwind of a time, and I love them so much. I love that band with my whole heart. So yeah, Nice Guys by We Are Scientists. It is off their record Barbara, yes. But yeah, check the song out. Good guys. Good guys. Love them a lot. So if you do have Hulu, you can watch this movie on Hulu, and I think you can also rent it on YouTube if you wanted to. But if you have Hulu, it's there along with like all of the rest of the Mary-Kate and Ashley movies. So if you didn't know that,
you're welcome.
Links to information about bail funds, protests, stuff going on in the world right now, all of that will be in the description down below, as well as it has been for the last couple of months. Thanks so much to my patrons. As always, I appreciate you so much. If you like this video and you would like to see more of my content, and maybe more specifically this kind of content, give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. I would like to know if people are into this idea, because I like talking about movies and I've talked for over an hour, so oh god, this would be such a long video to edit. Oh my god. Yeah, and if you want to subscribe and want to see more of my content, please subscribe. That would be super cool. Yeah, I post videos a couple times a week and then I do a live stream. Yeah, I'm not always angry because I know I got a handful of new people subscribing after my last video, because pretty much anytime Abby gets really fucking pissed, I just get more views and stuff. So hopefully I don't have to just get angry every time I want people to watch my videos. So please like this one. Because this was fun for me. Not angry at all. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!